Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss what is meant by an algorithm and the properties of an algorithm. So now, what is meant by an algorithm? Algorithm means a step-by-step process. A step-by-step process of solving a problem. A step-by-step process of solving a problem is nothing but an algorithm. That means to solve any problem, here we are writing steps. For example, if you want to prepare a tea, so for that we have different steps. Like first you have to pour some water, after that you have to add some tea powder, after that you have to add milk, and after that you have to add some sugar, and you have to boil very well. So then your tea will be ready. So to prepare a tea, how we are going step by step. So in the same manner for any problem, we have to solve. Solution will be a step by step process. That is the meaning of an algorithm. A step by step process of solving a problem is nothing but an algorithm. Okay, so now now you are writing an algorithm, that is okay. Now what are different properties of an algorithm? Properties of an algorithm. That means whenever you are writing any algorithm, these properties should satisfy. Whenever you are writing any algorithm, these properties should satisfy. What are those properties? First property is input. Second property, output. Third property, finiteness. Next one, definiteness. And then last property, effectiveness. So whenever you are writing an algorithm, each and every algorithm should satisfy these 5 properties: input, output, finiteness, definiteness, and effectiveness. Now let us discuss what are these properties. First property, input. So algorithm may take an input. Algorithm means to solve a problem. Algorithm may take some input. So or may not take some input. May not take inputs. If it is taking inputs, then it may take 1 input or 2 inputs or 3 inputs or 4 inputs, like that. Some algorithms may not take output, may not take input. That means 0 number of inputs. For example, if you want to read a number and print the same, then 1 input is enough. For example, you want to add 2 numbers, then 2 inputs are required. If you want to find out average of 3 numbers, then 3 inputs are required. That means this input is depending on the problem statement. Depending on the problem, so that algorithm is taking number of inputs. So that may take 0 inputs or 1 input or 2 inputs or 3 inputs and so on. So any algorithm may take, or all algorithms, the possibilities here are 0 inputs, 1 input or 2 or 3. Okay, so that is about input property. Now second property, output property. Now what is the output of that algorithm? Some algorithms may generate one output. Some algorithms may generate two outputs. Some algorithms may generate three outputs, like that and so on. That is also depending on problem statement. So you are writing an algorithm means a compulsory one solution will be there. That means minimum how many outputs an algorithm should generate? One output minimum an algorithm should generate. Here in the inputs, the minimum number of inputs here are 0. Whereas here, minimum number of outputs are. So, one output. So, every algorithm should generate at least. Every algorithm should generate at least one output. Suppose addition of two numbers you are doing now. Then addition, suppose 2 plus 3 you are doing. Then it will generate output 5. Suppose you want to find out the sum and average. Okay, sum is 5 here in the same problem. Then 5 by 2, here it is 2.5. Now it is generating two outputs. Like that, depending on the problem statement, the number of outputs an algorithm will generate. So that is the second property of algorithm. So now coming to the third property. Third property is finiteness. Third property is finiteness. What is a finiteness property? So every algorithm should have finite number of steps. Finite number of steps. Or it should terminate somewhere. It should terminate somewhere. That means you are writing some statements. Suppose inside one loop you are writing. Okay. So this loop should have some condition and that condition should fail somewhere and it has to come out of the loop. In the loop structure. So loop means what? What is the meaning of loop here? So these statements will execute repetitively. So and this repetition should not be infinity. So somewhere it has to terminate. So that means here, for example, generally we are writing for I sum equal to 1, 2 and 2. Some statements here I have written. So here n value, based on n value, these statements will execute those many number of times. For example, if I have written like for, here I am not writing any condition. For, suppose in the program, so generally we will write semicolon in programs if there is no initialization or condition checking or increment or decrement. Then if we have written like this, when this for loop will terminate, when the execution of these statements will terminate, it will not terminate. So that means that these type of statements you should not write in an algorithm. Compulsory, it should terminate somewhere. So that means if you have written like this, compulsory these type of statements in the program, it should terminate like break statements you should write. In the program terminology here I am writing. Okay. So like that, finite number of steps here it is nothing but, of course, you will write 100 statements or 1000 statements or 10,000 statements, you will write. Some limit is there. It doesn't mean that you are writing infinite number of statements or infinite number of steps. It should terminate somewhere. That is the point here. Okay. It should not, that means it should not go to infinite loop. Should not go to infinite loop. That is the meaning of finiteness property. Okay. Next property, definiteness. Definiteness. What is the meaning of definite? Each statement in an algorithm must be definite. Here definite meaning is the statement should be clear. The statement should be clear. There should not be no confusion type of statements. No confusion statements. Like, for example, add x with 5 or 10. You can't write like this. What is the meaning of this? Whether x should be added with 5 or x should be added with 10. So here it is a confusion. These type of statements should not write in an algorithm. Like what we have to write is like add x with 5 or subtract 10 from x. Like that, the statements should be clear. This is like a confusion. Confusion type of statements should not write. In another way, you can say like unambiguous statements. Unambiguous statements. Unambiguous statements are nothing but, ambiguity means what? Generally, ambiguity is nothing but duplicate statements. What is meant by unambiguous? So unambiguous means no duplicate statements. We are writing some statements for some operation. These statements should not repeat. What will happen here? It is a program or algorithm length will increase. So that's why we should not write like this. Okay. So no confusion type of statements, no duplicate statements. We have to write in an algorithm. We should not write such type of statements. You have to write the clear statements. Okay. That is definiteness. And the last property, here it is, effectiveness. Effectiveness. What is meant by effectiveness? The statements should be basic type. That means don't write like any complex statements in an algorithm. Complex statements in an algorithm. Okay. Where the statements should be, generally we will say like the statements should be effective. Effective here it is nothing but basic statements, means easy to understand. Easy to understand. Basic type of statements or easy to understand statements. So that means don't write any complex statements in a single statement. So write easy statements, easy to understand. These type of statements we have to write in an algorithm. So these are the 5 properties of an algorithm. So whenever you are writing an algorithm, these 5 properties should satisfy. For example, consider one example algorithm. For example, one algorithm we will write like a simple example is average of 3 numbers. Average of 3 numbers. We will write an algorithm, then we will check whether all these 5 statements are satisfying or not. Okay. For average of 3 numbers, step 1 is we have to read 3 numbers. Read like number 1, number 2, number 3. After reading, calculate a sum, like sum equal to n1 plus n2 plus n3 by 3. Then average we have to calculate now. So sum is simply n1 plus n2 plus n3. Now average we have to calculate. Average equal to sum by 3. And finally last one is we have to print the result. So print average. This is the algorithm. Okay, for average of 3 numbers. Now what are our properties? Our properties are, first one is input, second one is output, third one is a finiteness, fourth one is effectiveness, fifth one is definiteness. Now we will check whether these properties are satisfying or not. First one, input. So how many inputs it is taking? First, how many numbers it is taking? 3 inputs. Yes, it is satisfying. So input 0 or 1 or 2 or any number of inputs. Output, how many outputs it is generating? One output, which is average. Finite number of statements. It is terminating. After printing, it will terminate. Yeah, it is terminating. Then effectiveness. These are very clear statements and basic statements, and no complex statements in the algorithm. Definiteness. So, and the clear statements here we have written. There is no confusion type of statements. That means sum equal to, yeah, sum we are calculating. How we are calculating sum? By adding these three numbers. Yes, it is clear. Okay, average equal to sum by 3. Okay, sum we have calculated here. For that by 3. Yeah, print average like that. So definiteness. So that there is no confusion, there is no redundant data, redundant type of statement. So it is satisfying all the algorithm 5 properties. So it is a good algorithm. I'm not saying in terms of time complexity and space complexity. What I mean is good algorithm means it is satisfying all the 5 properties. And remember another point. This algorithm is consisting of simple English statements. See, English words only. Sum, average, print. And then simple operations. And simple operations, and it is a programming language independent. Remember, programming language independent. It is not depending on any programming language, C or C++ or Java or Python. If I am asking one question means average of 3 numbers for algorithm, it is not following any syntaxes of programming languages. This is simply the step-by-step process. That's why algorithm is programming language independent. It consisting of simple English statements or English words and simple operations like addition, subtraction, general mathematics. So simple maths. Simple maths are present in the algorithm. So for any problem, you can write an algorithm. It is independent of programming language, remember. Okay, so that's all. So what we have discussed in this video, just we discussed what is an algorithm, what are different properties of an algorithm. Hope you understand, students. So in the next video, we will discuss what is analysis. What is the meaning of analysis? So now we have discussed what is meant by an algorithm. Now in the next video, we will discuss what is meant by analysis of an algorithm. Okay. Right. If you have any doubt in this concept, please send me a message in the comment box. If you understand, please share with your friends and subscribe the channel and like the video also. Okay. So and then put a message like which concepts you need. You send a message in the comment box. Okay. Thank you, students. Have a great day. Bye.